Tips, book by Al Stolman. There are some real good ideas in here on how to use the oak leaf stamps. For instance, here on page 13, you can see several ways to use the stamps. This one has got the look of the inverted carving, and this one over here has the look of a standard leather carving pattern. Here is what I'll call the inverted style, where we have used the small acorn stamp and the oak leaves left and right. And here is an example of how we can use the oak leaf stamps in the acorn with some beveling and some stems to make it look like a standard leather carving. To make a belt, the first thing we will do is dampen the leather thoroughly. As a rule, you will dampen your leather a little more than you normally would, or at least we would start working it a little wetter than you would for a normal leather carving. So now we'll set it aside for a few seconds and let it dry a little bit. I have decided to do a cut border on this particular pattern, so I'll use my wing divider and scribe a line on both sides of the belt. Next, I will carefully cut the border with a swivel knife, and of course I will cut both sides. And now we are ready to begin stamping. For this project, we're going to use the left and the right turning oak leaf stamps, and we're also going to use the small acorn stamp. So let's begin. We'll first start with either the right or the left. It's up to you. You may want to practice a little bit with these to make sure you know which end is up and how the turn points. You notice this one now I have it pointing out toward the border and coming down toward the center. Now I will use the other one on the other side. I'll come down here a short distance and I'll stamp another one. Please note how I'm rotating the stamp so that I get a nice clean impression. Now we'll go back to the other one and we'll point it the other way with the stem coming down toward the center. Notice that they're real easy to re-register and rotate the tool so you get a nice impression. We'll do one now to the other side. And you'll see we're making some nice progress. We'll do one more group of two. It's very important to have a good piece of marble or granite for your stamping. This is a large stamp, and a good firm stamping surface is very, very good. Now we'll take the small acorn and we'll do a few of these. Now I'm stamping that so that if I put a stem off of it, I'll be able to pull it right down and let it flow with the leaves. I'll put one on the other side. You can put these in at random now, and you can put more than one. Here I'm putting two. Let's put two down here. Notice how I make sure that they go in the right direction. This is probably enough for this section of belt, so now let's go back to the swivel knife. With the swivel knife, I can now come off the stem and maintaining the same arc, make a stem and lift it out. Lift it out slowly. Notice I am following the contour, or shall I say the arc, as it comes off the leaf. I will come back now and do some stems off of the acorns. Notice that everything flows down to the center. Now, if you want, you can come back here and put in some more decorative cuts. I would suggest not too many of them and not too close together, because it'll give us an unnatural look if we make it too busy. And now, as you can see, we have a pretty nice pattern. Where do we go from here? Let's bevel the edges. I will now use the number B971 checkered beveler, and this is nice and wide. Since we're going to be beveling a straight line, this is a good idea. Notice I'm beveling inside of the cut. I am walking it by tapping it, and as I allow it to rebound, I can move it. We will now bevel the other side. And there we have a nice pattern. We could do this, or we could come back and do a border stamp. Let's do a border stamp. I have decided to use number D435 border stamp, and so we will position this right up against where we did our beveling. We will give it a good strong strike with the mallet so that we get a nice deep impression. And of course, we will do both sides. And here's what our finished belt piece looks like. It's now all ready for your favorite dyeing and finishing technique.